What's up, and welcome to the first episode of Walk the Talk podcast. I'm Ethan.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Noah.
And today what we're going to be talking about is who we are, what our mission and goal is, and kind of when we started having this idea of creating podcasts.
Yeah, so basically, Walk the Talk is the name that we came up with for this, and pretty much our goal behind it is to be Christian teenagers who want to help other teenagers and other youth to be able to not just talk about their faith or do that kind of like little aspect of their faith or have like that little connection and actually full on have a walk with Christ alongside them.
Yeah, and what we were thinking about is we have so many people at the church, like student pastors, parents, and just like people, they're usually older than us, that kind of help us walk us in our faith, but we don't really have anybody as in high school. So we were talking, we were like, we need to do something about this. Yeah. Like, we need to make sure kids know that there is a perspective out there that comes from high schoolers rather than just adults. And that's kind of what we're thinking about doing. We just wanted to show you guys, help you guys learn how to live as a Christian in the high school world.
Yeah, especially coming from another high schooler. I mean, I feel like when you ask adults for help, it kind of just feels like they don't know what you're going through. They don't know what's going on with you. But like when you ask other teenagers, other high schoolers, we're kind of going through the same things that you guys might be going through. So we thought this would be a good idea, again, because we feel like it'd be on a more relatable level with some of our maybe high school viewers, and some adult viewers. If there's any adults watching this, then we could maybe help you guys kind of understand how maybe your teenagers might be facing the world, or how to help them too.
Yeah, and just a little to go in like off that of just how we kind of got this idea. So we all attend Christ Church of the Valley, better known by most people in our area, kind of CCV, and we've all been going there for a good portion of our lives. And it was at the high school camp that they do. They took us up to a local college campus, and we stayed there for a week. And we got to just have a really great experience. And part of that was what helped us to kind of help us want to pursue this. And then another thing is a podcast that we listen to sometimes called the Ask Us Why podcast. It's a podcast that's run by about mid-20s or so Christians who just kind of do deep dives into scripture and whatnot, and that was also something that helped inspire us, I guess you could say, to come up with this idea.
Yeah, so I think now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about like who we are as people, so you can get to know us and kind of know our backstory. So Noah, you want to start us off?
Yeah, so I'm Noah. I already introduced myself, but basically I've been going to our church, CCV, for basically my entire life. I've kind of grown up there a lot. I feel like it's like one of my second homes, honestly. I love the people there. I love the community there. I love the staff there. I love everything about that church. I started going there when I was little, like 6, 7 maybe. I mean, I was 6. I didn't really care that much because you don't really care about much when you're 6. But I mean, as I've grown up in that church, I've gotten more attached, and like as I started to get older and like more junior high, 7th grade, I went to 7th grade service, a whole different experience, a whole great time there. I met Ethan, and we kind of bonded like as soon as we met. It was really cool. We kind of bonded, and then as we moved on through 7th grade, we got closer. 8th grade came, boom, we were like super close. We're basically brothers. It was great. And then sadly, quarantine happened. March 2020, that was a rough time for a lot of people, and both of us, I think, I'm not really trying to speak for Ethan, but I kind of fell out of my faith a little bit. I think most people did. It was kind of a tough time, I think, for most people, because like we didn't have a live church to go to. We didn't have the community that is in the church. We just kind of had a screen and like our own dedication to church. So once quarantine was over, we kind of jumped right into high school service, our high school small group. Our group was good, but it wasn't the same as junior high. And then the years kind of went by, and now we're a little older. I feel like I've bonded a lot more with our high school group. Our high school group is really cool. I love those guys. So yeah, that's where I am now.
Yeah, that's awesome. And like one thing you mentioned about the whole COVID thing, that definitely hurt a lot of communities in churches and just in general that you could relate to. Live church isn't exactly the same thing as in person at all.
Yeah, I know. That's definitely something that we will talk about, just how we heard it a couple weeks ago at one of our high school services. One of the pastors, he talked about how our generation might be one of like the most stressed generations ever, and part of that is due to just everything that we have to go through daily, and how we've pretty much had to grow up in a world that's full of changes, whether it be the pandemic, which for us and other kids our age disrupted our transition from junior high to high school, and things like that, as well as just so many other things that we have. I mean, you know, we have to deal with mental issues, physical, spiritually. There's just so much like pressure that's thrown at the youth these days that our goal is to just kind of help to ease some of that stress and point it towards Christ.
Yeah. Okay. So now, Ethan, let's hear a little bit about you.
Yeah, so me, similar to Noah, you know, grew up in the church, like Noah was saying, but never really had that necessarily passion to deep dive into my faith. And then as I got into junior high, you know, met Noah in my group, met a lot of the great guys there, you know, had really great coaches who were there for me, which is something that I definitely want to talk about more, not necessarily how I've been blessed to have good leaders in my life, in my faith, but how a lot of people, a lot of you listening could have those not have had a strong leader to help you guide you in your faith, or someone by your side, and that's something that we hope we can kind of talk about more. But just back to what I was saying, so yeah, I started to kind of get a bit more of a passion, fire, I guess you could say, and then it was kind of just extinguished by COVID, and that just kind of shut down like that drive that I had started to get. And then as I transitioned into high school coming out of the pandemic, since I had basically been shut off from the church, I was not able to really have like that strong connection around me. I was not able to have like a strong group, so I was like dabbling around in things that weren't necessarily like a part of God's plan for me. And then I was able to slowly kind of, with the help of just the people God's blessed me in my life, to get back on track. I started serving at CCV in their junior high ministry with Noah. We've both been blessed to have to each coach our own group of 7th grade boys, which has just been a great opportunity. And it's something that what I've learned so far in just the couple months I've been doing it is how being that, like, I guess kind of inspirational or leader figure to a group of people, especially when it comes to faith, helps you be more accountable with yourself, which is something that's definitely just helped me be able to grow.
And yeah, that's great. That's great. And like you said, leading is huge when it comes to growing in your faith. Because if you want to grow in your faith, you need to help others grow themselves. And if you help others grow yourselves, you know, sometimes things that you find out that you want to tell them, you find out for them, but you don't already know it. So you're actually helping yourself if you think about it. And I know, like, there's so many ministries out there in any church. You could just, there's like live production ministry. There is being a pastor, and then there's like serving with kids. And as high schoolers, little kids look on us so much. Like, we influence them a lot. So I think serving with them is so valuable. And it doesn't even matter what like ministry you go into. You could literally just walk down like down the hall and say like hi to somebody, and that's super impactful.
Yeah, definitely. Now, Kyle, you just want to tell us a little about your story as well?
Yeah, so like Ethan and Noah, I grew up in a Christian home. I started serving around like 6th grade in the kids ministry. And growing up, I was always that church kid, that one guy that like I wasn't the funny guy, I wasn't like the cool kid at all. I was just the church kid, and that's all I was known by. I wasn't known by anything else other than that. So I wanted to be cool, such as like a lot of people. Like you don't want to be looked at as weird or like super super different. You want to be looked at as somebody that is like respected and liked by like a lot of people. So what happened is I tended to get with the popular crowd, and the crowd I went with wasn't really the best people that I could be hanging around with. So I got involved in some things that I shouldn't. I started talking ways I shouldn't, and I started representing things that were nowhere near what I was supposed to as a Christ follower. And then up until my freshman year, I started serving in CCB production, the kids production, and I kind of had like a friend there that told me like, hey, you need to go and look for people like you that value and respect the same things. And it all started, I saw Ethan, he was wearing like a student shirt, and I knew him in our production class at our school. And I was like, I should start like talking to this guy, and we're friends now. And then I met Noah on the way too. We started like being friends through track, and it kind of just grew, and you just meet all these people, and if you find the right people, you're gonna move a lot more than you think you will until you like actually sit down and be like, whoa, I like grew so much in my faith, more than I ever thought I would. So yeah, and now I'm serving in adult production, and I'm gonna go into the full-time ministry at CCB. But yeah, the biggest takeaway is definitely like who I surrounded myself by. And I think community as teenagers nowadays is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, thing we need to implement into our lives.
Yeah, man, I love that. I feel like community, especially with teenagers, is one of the most underrated sources that you could like imagine. Like people don't understand how big of an impact the people around you have on you. So if you surround yourself with bad people, people who do bad things, people who don't represent Christ the right way, you're gonna eventually find yourself doing that exact same thing. And if you surround yourself with people who maybe go to church every weekend, who serve at the church, who are all into Christ, you're gonna find yourself kind of falling into that too. And for teenagers, we are especially what's the word?
Vulnerable.
Vulnerable, yes, thank you. We're very vulnerable, and we feel like we try to fit in. We feel like if this person's doing this thing and people are liking it, we're like, oh yeah, maybe I should try that too. But that's just not right. I mean, you have to find your own crowd. You have to find your crowd of the right people, and you have to find your crowd of people you like. So, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely really like how you said that. And then, yeah, I kind of want to talk about, like you were saying, how it's hard for a lot of teenagers nowadays to feel more vulnerable, and that's definitely something that we're going to talk about on here, and be able to try and give teenagers a better platform to be vulnerable with, and that it's okay to be vulnerable. That's something that I know the three of us have learned. And then we just want to be able to just talk about on here all the different things that we feel are really affecting our generation right now, and especially when it comes to spiritually. And also we just want to kind of say how you've heard all of our stories, kind of a little bit about us. We all have somewhat similar stories, but at the same time they're all different, like so different in their own each way. And that's something that, we kind of want everyone listening to know, that everyone, you go through similar experiences, but everyone has a different story, everyone has a different testimony. And, God has put those experiences in your life for a reason. But the main thing is that you may think that we're up here talking about how, we've gone through bad times and now we found Christ, and we think that we're perfect in our faith or something, but we are far from that. There's no such thing as a perfect Christian. The only, Kyle, you've said it to me a lot of times, the only perfect Christian there is Jesus. And it's just a lot of that. We don't need to be perfect, but we need to be our best selves in God's image. Because, I know, I struggle when it comes to reading my Bible consistently, or how I pray, or what I pray about. And I'm guessing that you two could agree with some of that as well. And it's just about having that community around you also, to have that accountability to keep you strong in your faith. Also, I just kind of want to talk about how, we've had these experiences with our church, and we've been blessed, to have a church that is, while it is more so meant for to help welcome people to Christ, it's more of a church for people who have never really had Christ in their life. That's definitely more the model with CCV, with how big it's gotten. There's 13 or so campuses, thousands of
30,000
yeah.
people.
Yeah. A lot of people watch online as well, so it's gone to be a really big ministry, and it's a really amazing thing, and we're blessed to have a awesome students ministry as well, who are really trying to engage with the students as well. But those of you listening, you might not have that same kind of experience at your church. You could go to a really small church where you don't really have a super big group, but sometimes those small churches where it's just one campus, one pastor leading it every single service, you can just have that closer connection, and honestly it helps you to get involved more, and you have that tighter community of people around you.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we're gonna actually want to try to help you guys learn. If you have that small community, be that leader that steps up in that circumstance.
They have people greeting you at the door, people greeting you when you walk on campus, people greeting your kids when you bring them to their ministry.
Yeah, for sure. And then I think we're about done, ready to wrap up here, our first episode. But pretty much, we've told you what we're all about. Kind of, we just want to be Christian teenagers. We want to spread our message to teenagers, and something that we're just really hoping to be able to talk about more. We want to talk about, just the different struggles that we face as teenagers in today's world. And then Kyle, you want to talk about anything else of what we're going to talk about in the future?
If you guys have any prayer requests or anything, let us know on our Instagram or comment on our YouTube channel. And yeah,
that's pretty much, pretty much it. Another thing that we're looking forward to doing, just as a last little thing, if anyone listening, or we have some other people, we're hoping to, some of our coaches and whatnot, pastors at our church, and some of just our peers and friends around us, hoping to bring them onto this so that they can share their experiences and wisdom in their journeys with Christ as well, because everyone's story is different. But I think that'll pretty much do it here for the first episode of Walk the Talk, and thank you for tuning in, and God bless.